Okay. We are back. Turning up. Day two. Yesterday, we got up to step three, and today we're going to carry on. So, we're here for at least 18 minutes. Let's see if we can get to better than 95% of the world in coding. Cool. So, I've already signed in. No, I haven't signed in. Let's sign in. We'll do it with Google. Cool. I was hoping that would get me back to where I was, but we did this yesterday, so we already know that we are just going to start putting these in there as a text. Um, I want to, so we did do this yesterday. And I need to get rid of Grammarly. I don't want it there. Let's check the code. Oh. Okay, let's just check. Oh, sorry. I didn't read it because I presumed it had saved from last time. It hadn't. So I'm going to get rid of these because it's asking me to create three spans. Um, and again, this is why I probably should read the brief properly. So three spans within the stats elements, give each of them the class stat. So I know that's my syntax for the syntax for adding these attributes is as such. And since all of them are going to have the same, I'm just going to copy and paste this. And then give this. If you're wondering what I'm doing here, I am using Raycast to copy, to access my clipboard history. Raycast is like a spotlight searchlight. I can't remember. It's like a spotlight replacement. So it allows for you to like navigate your Mac with shortcuts and stuff, and it has extra features like that. So now that I have added those three spans, which this looks more familiar to what happened yesterday, let's check the code. It passes, and we can move on. So let's go to the next challenge. So wrap the numbers 0, 150 in span elements, and wrap those new span elements in strong elements. Then give your new span element ID values of XB text, health text, and gold text, respectively. Okay, so wrap the numbers in span elements. So at least I know that's what that's going to be. Is span. I'm just going to be lazy and copy that. Now, I don't know if this is the best way to do this, admittedly, but I'm going to do it that way anyway because why not? So I'm supposed to be wrapping these in spans themselves. And wrap those new span elements in strong elements. So again, this is where we're going to start Googling strong elements HTML. No, W3 schools is good. So got the strong tag here. We also know MDN web docs I know are quite good. So let's pick that one for today. So strong is that's just the format of that element. So we're gonna wrap those in strong. Again, I feel like this is not the right way to do it. I feel like I should probably be nesting it somewhat, but I'm not sure. Um, but this should get the job done. At least if I understand the description correctly. So let's do that. It doesn't look neat. It doesn't look at all like what you'd expect to see on like a nice website. So I do think there's probably a better way to do this. Again, if you are like a seasoned professional watching this, have mercy. But yeah, okay. So then give the new span elements ID values. So I know ID will have a similar um, format to this. So I'm just going to stick those in there. ID equals that. And again, because I'm lazy, I'm going to copy that and stick those in there. And do what I do best, which is copy and paste. So this is XP text, health text, and gold text. And I guess what this is doing is giving us a way to access these things later, maybe with our CSS. But you can see, hey Jaya, Jaya, Jaya is so supportive. Um, yeah, this year we're doing things, man. We're gonna get there. Um, Again, I mean, well, whenever people come to watch this, if you are, um, whenever you do, go check out Drea's blog, man. Um, Let me just remind myself what the name is. Heated. Oh, it's Drea is a poet, so it's one of these deep names that I need to just find, and I'm gonna take the time to find this because I want to. Uh, Heated goal, pressured. I'm doing something silly. I'm trying to find this on thingy when I know I've got it. I'm actually subscribed to her blog, so I can easily just go and then pick up this subscription. But Drea is a friend. I've known Drea for a while, and yeah, just an inspiration. And heated gold and pressured coal. .wordpress.com. So whenever you guys watch this, go check out Drea's blog, man. She's dope. She's married to another dope poet, Robert. Anyway, enough of the plugs. Let's get back to work. Cool. So, uh, I think this meets the requirement. So let's check the code, and it passes. Now I will pay attention again. It seems what they're doing is sort of focusing you in on the areas that they want you to change, and they have somewhat reformatted, I believe. So what I'll probably do in the next page is pay attention to how they format this, because I don't think this is the right formatting. But the formatting ends up being useful just for readability and for later. Oh, I love it. It's actually Robert, not his wife. Well, oh wow. See, good. I did say that Robert is a dope guy as well, but I also don't like Robert at all. So there you go. um, cool. So, yeah, let's see if they reformat this as well. Either way, I'm sure there'll be better ways to do it. Okay, they haven't necessarily. So maybe this is how you just do it in your normal websites. And I might look at some websites later on to see if this is, but it doesn't look particularly nice, but I can see we are formatting, so it's cool. All right, now step 5 is in the controls element. So we did create that div with an ID controls. Create 3 button elements. The first should have the ID set to button 1, and the text go to store. ID set to button 2, and text go to cave. And third should have ID set to button 3, and text flight dragon. Cool. So here we're going to have 3 button elements. Now again, I'm going to go straight to documentation because I do know button elements, but so it's worth checking. So there is button, and if you remember from the demo, this was sort of what the button looked like. So it's just button. That's the syntax for it, which is cool. So let's go. Yep, I'm gonna do my lazy thing of copy and paste because why make life difficult when you can make it hard? Oh, sorry, when you can make it easy, I should say. Alright, so I can already see these coming in. So 3 button elements. I'll give them some IDs and some text. So let's go and give them some IDs. ID is equal to Robert is part of our podcast, the Blacksmith Furnace. Effectively the MC of, no, I don't want to say MC because then he'll think he's the main character, which he already believes. But Robert does effectively he is the main character of the podcast, and another dope poet and just an all round cool guy. But yeah, I wouldn't say that to his face, even though I know he's watching. Cool. So the ID of the first button is button 1. And I know that the bit that goes within the tags is the text that will appear. So go to store. Yeah, there you go. And the button element then has that sort of automatic formatting and behavior. So when you hover on it, it sort of shows you that you're selecting it or that it's in focus. When you press it, it will do something. It will depress visually. And then we can then use JavaScript to give it actions to do when it's pressed, when it's hovered over, and then I know we can use CSS to then style it and give it some more, you know, give it a look we want. That said, we probably could use HTML to do some of that, but yeah, there's as you see, there's these challenges people do where they will use like HTML only to build like whole responsive websites and stuff. So I'm sure there's ways to do it, but probably easier to do it the uh, with the CSS and JavaScript languages. Cool. So I think this meets the brief. I've created 3 elements, and I realize now you might not be able to see everything. Can I move my? I don't think I can. Cool. I'm going to move out then. I think I'll move out just so you can see what's actually going on. Cool. So I've created 3 elements, 3 buttons. I've given them IDs accordingly, button 1, button 2, button 3. And then I've given them the text that should appear in the button accordingly. So this should pass. There you go. All right. Cool. So let's go to the next challenge. I would donate, but can't afford to right now. So similar to the stats element, your monster stats element needs 2 span elements. Give them class stats and give them the first element. Give the first element the text stats, the second element the text stats. After the text in each add a strong element with an empty nested span element. Okay, cool. Cool. All right, let's just do that. So we need two spans. And again, I think this is really a cool way to do it because I've never done a tutorial where it's like, okay, do this. It's often, you know, type this, or, you could quite literally end up copying and pasting code. Or if you're trying to learn, and what I've done in the past, it's like just typing code as I'm reading it off. But here I love that they're giving you instructions, and then you sort of have to figure out how to do it. I think hopefully this will be a really good way to learn. I definitely feel more confident with how I'm going about this. I could have added a class span so that I don't have to copy this twice. But alas, we learn. Sorry, not span, class stat. I'll just copy this separately. And again, giving these things these classes allows you to categorize them so that later on I can sort of then take everything that is a stat and give it a certain style or do something specific with it. So two span elements with a class stat. Give the first element this text. And give the second element this text. So I will note that there is a space here, and I don't think that's by accident. So I'm actually going to do that. And then after the text in each, add a strong element with an empty nested span element. So we're going to go strong. Again, in something like a dedicated editor, I think you can just do like there's definitely a shortcut to do these tags, but alas, it's cool. I think it'll be useful to be typing these by hand. So an empty nested span. I think this is what it's describing. After the text in each, I also have a feeling now this might not be accurate because it might be wanting me to include that space in this span, but let's see. Okay, code passes, so that's cool. Cool. Again, I just feel like this doesn't look nice, but we'll see. Okay. This feels like it's too easy. This definitely feels like it's too easy. Mm. It just wanted me to add the text to the text element to that div that was giving the ID text. So it's interesting then. It seems divs end up being sort of like containers. Not containers, but I guess divisions. And they can use your IDs to determine what you want to call them. But yeah, it is interesting. So I just got a message from my sister, my baby sister Sarah, who since she got married thinks that she's a big girl. But yeah, I'll just respond to that quickly. Cool. Okay. So that's happy. Let's go. So we are going to do some styling. Background color set to hash this. Okay. So now let's see. Um, so in styling, okay, it looks like I can add a background image to a document. I don't know if I want to do that. So it's saying start by giving the body a background color set to this. So if I look at the body tag and what I can do, so it seems like it's within a style, and that's where I go to define, within the style, go to define the color, it would seem. So I'm going to try that. I'm going to say, I'm going to create a style, and it doesn't seem happy with that. It doesn't seem happy with that at all. But I'm going to do this and see. So this is giving me a background image for the body. I don't necessarily want that. I just want to copy that sort of, so say color. I feel like it should be equals to, but I might be wrong. So, nope. So it doesn't really seem happy like this, honestly, and nothing is changing here. So I'm going to just quickly try and find if there's something I can do. Okay, so it isn't that. It is actually still a colon. Alright, so let's do that. Okay, so that's happier. It still doesn't seem happy with my style tags there. Yeah, a body selector. Right. Ah, it would have been good if I could see my code. So can I? Hmm. So I'm guessing then it's presuming that it's, I don't need this style bit. So that then the body becomes a selector. Yeah, okay. So then the body itself is a selector, and it didn't need me to put that within the style tag as it is here, because it's again focused in, and I'm guessing it essentially is within the style element. So that, oh, actually, okay, so it says style.css. All right, cool. So I did create a link to my styles file here. And that's what they've styles.css. That's what they put me in, so that I was in the styles.css document, and I didn't need to sort of create another tag here within the HTML boilerplate to include that. Okay, cool. All right. So So again, styles.css, I'm within that file now. And so I'm gonna go. So this is what I was searching for yesterday to say IDs are represented by hash. So if I then go the text element, I think I should then be able to target anything that has an ID of text and give it a background color. Of that. Give it a color of that. And I can see it making changes there. So I'm a happy bunny. And padding. And I feel like padding is just that of 10 pixels. Cool. So I'm starting to add to the styles. So remember I mentioned the CSS file will allow you to make changes to the styling of whatever's in the HTML, whatever's in the web page. And what this is allowing me to do is target specific things, where I've given things an ID of text. And so if you go here, didn't realize again that I could switch in between those two. Oh, okay, so I can then select it and enable it. Okay, alright, the UI is actually quite nice. So I'm gonna close the preview for now, just so I can see this a little bit better. Again, what I was saying with the sort of nested spans and stuff, not looking too nice. Cool. So here I'm targeting stuff that's got an ID of text, and then I've also targeted a body. So I guess then if it's an element, then I can just call it by the element name. I know the head is used for some sort of meta details, so I might not be able to do that. But I guess if I wanted to target every div, I could then just write div and then start styling it. I could, but then that's where these IDs and classes come in. So the IDs allow me to target specific divs and say, well, and okay, so again, there's also IDs I can target directly because an ID is supposed to be unique. But then I can sort of start nesting some of these, and I can say maybe a stat under an ID of stats, do this. And then a stat under an ID of monster stats, do this. Or I can target the ID of monster stats and do something, and I can target every div by just calling a div. If I was to use the IDs, then I'd be using the hashtags because that's what that refers to. And then I think if it's a class, it's a dot, like just a dot. So here I've got classes stats, now I just say dot stat. That means the class of stat do this with its styling. So cool. Let's see, submit, let's go on. We are 5% in. Cool. So, more styling. Give your game a maximum width of 500 pixels and a maximum height of 400. Set the background color to that and the color to that. Use margins to center it by setting the top margin to 30 pixels, bottom margin to 0, and left and right margins to auto Finally give it 10 pixels of padding on all four sides. Cool. So again, it's forcing you to have to go and figure this out. I need to go and figure out all of this. So let's see. So let's actually go to CSS. Alright, so again, in W3 schools, you can see I've got stuff here to do with margins. I know that they asked for some margins. I was supposed to do some padding around all sides, so I can also look at that. So let's, and max width, cool, so that's there. So let's start with give your game a maximum width. So I'm just going to start off with calling the specific ID, say game. I'm going to give it my curly brackets, within which I shall start to define the styles. So I know I can do these bits, so I'm going to start with this because I know that my background color will just be defined as such. And I can actually start to see the preview as well. And the color of the actual bits inside. That's interesting. So I know I could do those bits. Now let's go to maximum width. So max width. Okay, so using max width will improve the browser's handling of small windows. So this would then mean that if I give it a max width, it will never go past that, which makes it a little bit more responsive, a little bit better, depending on depending on what I'm working with. So max width, I know it looks like that. I'm just gonna copy that, come here. And luckily it's 500 pixels. I wonder if that's like a standard thing. I'm gonna hazard a guess and say max height. So as you can see, that sort of almost wraps that in a nice container. Max height. And if we look at where my game is, the div is, that's what this is. So that's controlling this entire div and everything within it. That's quite cool. Alright, max height. I'm going to go ahead and presume max height is represented with that attribute, but we can check it afterwards. And these things tend to be a bit consistent, so that looks good. Interesting, we don't have, where is max height? Max height, there you go. Cool, okay. So we finished this first bit. I have taken my ID game, so my game div. We're giving it a maximum width of 500 pixels, a maximum height of 400. I've set the background color to white and the color to white. I'm then going to use margins to center it. So I know that there's more coming. By setting the top margin to 30 pixels. So I know that there are margins here. So margin top, I believe, will be what I'm looking for. Margin top 30 pixels. And I know that we wanted to do some auto as well. So, okay. So it seems I can just use margin um, for the horizontal. If I just use margin, then it would horizontally center it. Margin auto horizontally center it. But then I can then specify the margin top and margin bottom. So let's see. So they want me to do a margin top. 30 pixels. Margin bottom. I wonder if that's correct though. 0 pixels. And then I'm gonna do margin auto. I absolutely don't know if that's true. But we're gonna find out, aren't we? Cool. So then padding. So I'm hoping we've got padding here somewhere. And actually searching it that way might not be good. I might want to do padding, CSS padding. Cool. So I could define it for each, but if I feel there's a way to just define it automatically. Okay, so it looks like I can use the padding shorthand to give it the same padding all around, and it'll be padding right, top right, bottom left. So they wanted padding on all sides to be 10. Again, there might be a better way of doing this, but I'm just going to say cool. So let's see if that works. Mm. Margin top set to 30. So it is, I wonder, so this might be me reaching, but I think it's top to bottom. So I think I'd want to center it first and then give it a margin top. Let's see. Yes. All right, cool. So CSS cascading styles. Oh my God, I can't speak. Cascading style sheets is top to bottom, and therefore because I had this margin auto under this, it was going setting the margin top to 30, setting margin bottom to 0, but then going around, and if it works similar to this, setting margin to auto then changes everything or overwrites the previous two. And so by putting margin auto on top, I'm centering it first and then giving it a top margin and a bottom margin that then still hold because it is top to bottom. So it's done that, and then margin top only overwrites the top, margin bottom only writes the bottom, and it remains centered because I'm not doing margin left or margin right. Cool. Oh, I don't know if I make this look easy. I'm probably making it look hard, but hey, there we go. Cool. Um, I'm gonna call it there. I'm gonna call it there. So last time, yes, I say last time. Yesterday, I think because I didn't save that, I then had to do this again. I don't particularly want to do this again, so I'm gonna submit and go to the next challenge, and hopefully save that there. But yeah, I'm going to call it here. And again, thank you guys for rocking with me. Shout out to, I think it's Robert, Audrea, whoever, the Emmy says, for jumping in. And yeah, thank you guys. And hopefully this is useful to someone. But it is fun, and I am glad I'm doing it. So it's at least useful to me. All right, peace.